If you watch a season of American Idol, you'll inevitably watch something profound happen with some of the contestants, especially those who make the top 10. Let's talk about this transformation and how it's relevant to actors. Everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend, Brooke. Okay, confession time. Brooke and I like watching American Idol. Now, I've never voted, but we do enjoy watching these contestants over the course of the season. Though I will say I really miss Katy Perry as a judge. But that's not why we're here. Let's get straight to the point. Have I ever gotten straight to the point? If you watch an entire season of American Idol, you'll notice something about the contestants who never make it past the audition phase, contrasted against those who make it all the way to the top 10. And the difference can be summed up with one word: authenticity. And to unpack this, let's first divide the contestants of an average season of American Idol into three broad categories. One, the folks who have no idea what their authentic voice is, and they're just not at a place in their life or their growth to discover it, at least not during the season. Two, the folks who start out with no sense of what their authentic voice is, but they're so dang talented, the judges see something in them, and they're able to cultivate that authentic voice out of them throughout the course of the season. And three, the lucky folks who have already discovered their authentic voice, and so that just gets amplified and dressed up throughout the season. Now, that first group of contestants either never get past the audition phase, or they get voted off very quickly because they're pretending to be someone else every time they get up on stage. Sometimes these are the folks who have a normal speaking voice, but as soon as they start singing, they just sound like their favorite artist who they're trying to mimic. Now, imitation is an amazing tool at the start of any endeavor. You want to be a golfer? Imitate the golf pro that you're taking lessons from. Want to learn to draw? Start by tracing or by imitating a photo reference. Want to learn to play an instrument? You get the idea. But at some point, you have to learn to develop your own style. Think about when you learned handwriting, specifically cursive. Everyone started by trying to mimic what was up on that chalkboard or whiteboard or computer screen, trying to replicate exactly what cursive was supposed to look like. But fast forward over time and you develop your own unique handwriting such that a handwriting expert could pick apart what is different from your style versus anyone else that they're comparing it to. So again, that first group of contestants from American Idol are just stuck in that imitation phase. They haven't learned to personalize their vocal instrument. They're stuck trying to copy this image of what they think the judges will like and respond to. Sound familiar as an actor? Okay, let me skip to the third group of those American Idol contestants and come back to the second one. The third group are the folks who just feel like they're cheating. They're so talented and they seem so confident even from the initial audition. They know who they are. You almost want them to get voted off because you think they'll do better if they stay outside of the American Idol machine. Somewhere along the way, they discovered their authentic voice and have learned to protect it so that they don't fall into the trap of becoming someone different just to please the judges or the audience. They're charismatic. When they perform, you lean in. And you know they're going to be successful regardless of what happens on the show. Which also kind of means they don't make the best television. The second group of contestants, those are the folks we enjoy watching week to week because those are the ones that grow and are sort of like that hero's journey where they don't believe they have what it takes initially, but by the end, if they make it to that top 10, they've started to believe, just like Neo from The Matrix, that maybe they are the one. In the beginning, they have lots of raw talent, but they got a lot of nerves and a lack of confidence. Interestingly, a lot of the folks that fall into this second category also have interesting fashion choices at the beginning of their journey on the show. They might look like they're hiding themselves behind their clothes, or just that they showed up to that audition with no intentional thought as to what they should wear. They're just not comfortable in themselves yet. And that manifests as an image that they're presenting that's just not cohesive with their own humanity, their own authenticity. But then something starts to happen. They start to gain confidence week after week. These are the folks that suddenly blow away the judges on their third or fourth performance. They seem to have spontaneously evolved past that imitation phase to something different, something authentic. They finally gain the confidence to just be themselves. And it makes for an amazing story. You find yourself rooting for them week after week. You're hoping that they finally become the person that you sensed they were, that the judges sensed they were from day one. And when they do make that transformation, it's not just internal, it also manifests externally. Now, of course, on the show, they have consultants for hair, makeup, and wardrobe behind the scenes. But when they fully embrace who they are, what that authentic self is, with the help of those professionals, they start to complete the image. And when they walk on stage, it's not just external, but it's this internal confidence that has manifested suddenly sometimes when they walk on stage. Okay, Matt, so what's the point here? Well, if you're still watching, thank you. I'm sure you've figured out the parallel for actors. When you're first starting out and maybe you're in that first acting class trying to figure out what this craft is all about, you're in the imitation phase. You might even be literally imitating your favorite actor. As someone who formerly taught a beginning acting class, I saw this pretty often. An actor was clearly enamored by Christian Bale's Batman, or someone who was clearly enamored by De Niro or Pacino or some famous actor and was just trying to imitate their qualities. And if you gave them a chance to pick their own material for class, they would pick the most famous scene from their favorite actor. And it never ended up the way they expected it to. It's just too early in your journey to have discovered what we mean by authenticity. As your training progresses, you start to pick up bits and pieces. You may even start to become good at acting, but you're still missing that essential ingredient that will take you from just good acting into, wow, that was a truly grounded performance. I just watched real life unfold right before my eyes. And when you're still in this sort of middle phase, it's when you're probably going to get frustrated when you hear your acting coach or maybe even a director or a cast director start to tell you, you know what, let's do another take and just relax. Just be yourself. Do less. And sometimes it even feels insulting because let's say the character breakdown is obnoxious, creepy, and someone's telling you just be yourself. And so you're thinking, what the crap? Are you telling me that I am obnoxious and creepy? To use an 80s reference, you haven't reached the glow yet. You haven't completed the full circle that is your acting training. See, acting is really quite simple. And let me let you in on a little secret. Acting is not putting on a character to create something new and exciting. Instead, you are trying to use the character to reveal something true about yourself. You don't become someone else. The character becomes you. Those singers on American Idol who are compelling are the ones that are leaking a part of their humanity out for the entire audience to witness. So it's not so much that they're putting on a performance, but more that they're getting out of the way of themselves to let their authentic self shine through. For an analogy, because you know I love analogies, think about an audio mixing board with all of those channels and those sliders. Now, in this analogy, each slider represents a different part of your personality. On an average day, there's a pretty predictable arrangement or balance of those sliders. And when you step into a character, you're not trying to suddenly add new sliders to the mixing board. No, you're just trying to get super specific about which sliders, which qualities of you you're trying to amplify, and which ones you might be trying to tone down. But here's the rub. Most of you haven't done the work to actually label those sliders. I mean, if you're a mixer and you showed up to a concert and you're looking at one of those 64-channel mixing boards and you're supposed to do the mix for this live concert, but there's no labels on any of the channels, how are you supposed to figure it out? You need to know which sliders are for the vocals, the bass guitar, the lead guitar, the percussion, etc. So you see the value in trying to figure out what are the channels for you? What are those qualities with super specificity that you bring to the table, that ooze out of your pores, that when you get out of the way of yourself, shine through and make us want to lean in when you showcase that part of humanity. So until you figure that out for yourself, you might just be stuck in that category of contestants that are in that imitation phase. Because you might be 10 years into this journey, but you're still trying to give an approximation of what you think casting wants. And when you don't get cast and you see the person who does get cast, you look at them and go, wait, that's what they went with? I could have done that. And it just serves to make you frustrated and sometimes angry and resentful because you don't understand. You don't understand why you're getting called in for this role and then why you don't book that role. So before I get lost down this rabbit hole, here's where I want to end this video. And some of you know where we're headed. Brooke and I are facilitators and owners of the Sam Christensen image process. And the late Sam Christensen created this as his life's work to help actors and all humans discover the specificity of their own humanity, their own authenticity, because you know internally how you feel about yourself, but there's a different sensation of you from the outside world. So if you don't understand the gaps between what you know to be true about yourself and yet how you're perceived by the outside world, if you don't figure that out, how to reconcile the two, well, as an actor, that is a huge liability because it makes you very hard to direct. And so over the course of 4 days in the workshop, we get so specific about those parts of your humanity that are just radiating off of you like neon signs. And what so often happens in those 4-day workshops is like that second group of contestants from American Idol, that we watch you grow from this person who is hesitant, who thinks they know how to walk through this life and thinks they know how the world perceives them. But then as you start to get the data, you start to come to a new realization and you start to step into what we call authenticity, your most authentic self. It is an amazing transformation that can happen in just 4 days. By the end of it, the participants now have on offer the most valuable commodity as a human and specifically as an actor, authenticity. So if this intrigues you, check out the show notes below because we have a couple workshops coming up at the time of the recording of this video. One of them is over Memorial Day weekend in 2025, and that has a few spots as of the recording of this video. That's virtual, that's over Zoom. For an in-person experience here in Atlanta, Georgia, we do have a workshop coming up June 6th through the 9th, but by the time you're watching this, it might be full because I think we only have 1 spot left. And if you're watching this after June 9th, well then just head to our website, link in the show notes below to see what our next set of dates are. We like to offer these workshops every couple months or so. So which category are you in? Have you figured it all out? Well, good on you. Are you still in the imitation phase or somewhere in between? Feel free to drop a comment below. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.